day. We have a lot of wind. It is blowing all over the place. And we're not talking about Mr. Steve's stomach. It is a very windy day across the birthplace of the English language. You know where it is. I know where it is. We all know where it is. Of course, it is... It's England. We are back, everyone. Just about. Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? I hope you are happy today. First of all, before I do anything else, I must warn you that I am not feeling very well. I've spent the last 3 days in bed feeling really unwell. Yesterday I decided to go outside. I had a walk in the fresh air. I'm not sure if it's made me feel better or worse, but I do have what we call the common cold. It is something that goes around at this time of year, and it can make people feel rather unwell. You might get a sore throat. You might also sneeze quite a lot. And also you might lose your voice. So at the moment, I am struggling even now. So you might see me do this quite a lot today. That was me coughing. You couldn't hear it because I closed the microphone. So I have the common cold. It is something a lot of people have at this time of year. Mr. Steve had it first of all, and then he gave it to me, and I've been suffering from it for about the last 4 days. In fact, it started to come on last Wednesday. When I did my live stream on Wednesday, I was not feeling great. So I've been in bed, and today I need your sympathy, please, because I can barely speak. My throat is incredibly painful. So it would be fair to say that I don't know how long today's live stream is going to last for. Which leads me to the next thing. Helping me today, I use the word help very loosely. He is here today, helping right from the start of the live stream. Very unusual, I know. In the other corner of the studio, in his comfortable corner, also still suffering slightly from his common cold, it is the one, the only Mr. Steve.
Hello everyone. Surprise, surprise. You weren't expecting me for another half an hour, but I'm on today. Just in case Mr. Duncan needs some support with his vocal apparatus.
What?
His voice. And, that's what I'm here for. And anyway, it's nice to be here early because it's just lovely. It's horrible and windy outside, so I can't do anything in the garden. Let's see if our voices hold up. We'll carry on for as long as we can. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. We're going to do our best to bring you an English lesson today.
We are certainly going to try. We are going to try. We might fail. We might not succeed. But at least we are going to try. So it is myself and also Mr. Steve. I will make sure that there are no mistakes with who we are. So I will put it on the screen again, just so we know. So there you can see now. I am Mr. Duncan, and that is Mr. Steve, for those who are wondering. And we are broadcasting live from the birthplace of the English language for this Sunday afternoon. Normally I'm with you for 2 hours. I should say straight away, I don't think I'm going to be here for 2 hours today because I'm not very well. Even though, can I just say, I don't know why, I've been ill, but my skin, for some reason, has gone really lovely and soft. So even though I feel dreadful inside, the camera is making me look rather well today. So do not be misled by the image that my camera is projecting towards you, because I feel dreadful inside. So Steve is lucky. You are lucky, aren't you, Steve? Because you had the cold before me. And then I think it's safe to say that Steve passed the cold on to me. So you are at a much later stage, aren't you, Steve?
Yes, but I've still got my voice isn't right, and I've got a thick head. I feel like my head feels like it's. You can, if your head feels sort of thick, and I don't mean not very intelligent when I say that. You've got a thick head. It feels like it's all blocked up everywhere. Sinuses, all your sinuses. You know what it's like after a cold.
In fact, you know what, Steve? I always think the worst part of having a cold is the end of it, after the main infection has gone away, because it leaves your body slightly destroyed.
Well, I've got to sing in a little concert on Wednesday.
Oh,
which I'm not looking forward to, because this is the trouble. When if you're a singer and you get a cold, it's fine if you've got a deep male voice, because it doesn't really affect it.
yeah.
But if you've got a high male voice, like I have, like a tenor type voice, it means that it makes it very difficult to reach the high notes. It always does for me, because it always goes onto my into my throat. So I'm going to see what happens on Wednesday. I might not sing some of the songs I was supposed to sing, because I don't want to embarrass myself and screech up to a high note and it doesn't come out.
Yeah.
But you don't notice that unless you're a singer, because normally you're just talking
Yeah.
in your normal range and it doesn't affect anything. But when you come to sing, if you've got a cold, you notice
Okay.
that something's not quite right. You lose the range
Yeah,
in your voice. But enough of that.
It's like anything, isn't it? Because I rely on my voice, because without my voice being able to actually work, I have nothing. There is nothing I can do. I can't work, I can't teach, I can't make videos, I can't do live
Well, you're all right at the
streams.
moment, Mr. Duncan. I think we ought not to push it too much for the sympathy.
Well, I'm not.
Because we might...
I'm just explaining that if the microphone has to keep being switched off, that's the reason why. Because there might be people who don't know we have a cold, so they might just think
I think they know now.
I think they. Yes, I know.
Just
I know they
spent
know.
10
because
minutes talking about it.
Yes, that's the reason, Steve. There's some logic there when you think about it. Yes, that's why I mentioned it, so people would know. So now they know. Out there in YouTube land. Hello everyone, it's nice to see you. We have the live chat very busy. Guess what? Guess who was first on today's live chat? Yes. It was Vitas.
Surprise, surprise.
Hey there, Steve.
Hello, Vitas.
Let the applause die down, first of all.
Followed very closely by Abdelhak El Khoury from Morocco.
Hello, Morocco.
I hope I pronounced your name correctly there.
Wow.
And Lewis, of course, Lewis Mendez.
Wait there, Steve. No, that's not how we do it. That is not how we do it. This is how we do it. We go, Lewis Mendez.
Of course.
Is here today. Lewis Mendez. How long have you been watching, Steve?
Well, yeah, but you do that thing, right? Beatrice is here. Hello, Beatrice. We've got something to show you, so stay on.
Yes. Well, we can do it now.
Yeah, Miran Ali says,
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud. Pardon? What was that, Mr. Duncan?
We can do that now, Steve.
Oh, right. Okay, then.
Yes. Well, you've mentioned it. You've mentioned Beatrice. Hello, Beatrice. By the way, something that we've done, we did promise that we were going to show what we've done. So, Mr. Steve, over to you.
Yes, so when we all joined up with our wonderful friends for the meetup in Rome this year, very generous friends. Everyone gave us a present, and Mr. Duncan's shown it. But what we didn't show was what Beatrice gave us, which was some lovely prints, because Beatrice is a painter. And she gave us some lovely prints of some of her pictures, and we promised to get them framed. It has taken a long time to get them framed because we couldn't find anybody, and then they've taken them 6 weeks to do it. Anyway, we've got them, so here they are. Are you ready? Drum roll. Is that on, Mr. Duncan?
It is. It is
there
on,
we
Mr.
go.
Duncan.
So that's the first one.
Isn't that great? So there we have a beautiful countryside setting with some trees. It looks as if some of the trees have a slight autumn colour to them
It
as
does.
well. So that is one of the paintings done by Beatrice, and we've put them in a lovely picture frame. And can you show the other one, Steve?
Yes, I hope you like the frame. And here's the other one.
It's a bit too late now if Beatrice doesn't like it.
We went for a light coloured frame. There we go.
Isn't that lovely? So there is another one looking into a paddock, and there is a single horse standing there waiting for someone to arrive to give it a big juicy carrot. So can I say thank you very much to Beatrice?
Yes.
For your lovely paintings, and we have them now ready. We're not sure where we are going to hang them. I think they would look fantastic as you go up the stairs. So
Yes.
there is a big empty space as you go up the stairs on the wall, and I think it would be great to actually have those paintings, those two pictures hanging there, because they seem to go together quite well. So I think they should be hung quite close to each other.
I think we should. I think they're probably worth about $500,000 each.
Okay.
I think we may have to sell them. Maybe in about 5 or 10 years' time.
Okay.
They will become masters, as we say, and then we can sell them for a huge profit.
Well, but
I'm only joking.
The masters are the artists.
I'm
not
only
the paintings.
joking. Thanks again for that.
Good. and we did it so slickly. You would never know that was all happening. Mr. Steve and myself are here today. Thank you once again, Beatrice. Very nice, very kind of you. Who else is here on the live chat? We also have, we have Marcia. Hello, Marcia. It's nice to see you here. Rosa is here as well. We have Claudia. Hello, Claudia.
Claudia's cooking.
Oh.
Now, Claudia said earlier, what was she cooking? She did tell me, and I've forgotten. Where are we? I'll try and... I can't find it now. She's beating egg whites.
Oh.
She's beating egg whites to make a lemon meringue pie. Now, my father, his favourite pudding was lemon meringue pie. And so my mother used to make it at least once a month for him. And it's quite time-consuming to make. It's not the quickest of puddings to make, but he loved it. And I've forgotten what we used to have it. Did we have it with cream, or did we have it with ice cream or custard?
You could have lemon meringue with ice cream or a little bit of cream. I don't think you have it with custard because it would go all sort of soggy and horrible.
But the what sets you out as a very good cook is if the meringue is very sort of deep and crusty.
Yeah.
And it's Mother's Day in Argentina today.
Wow.
So that's why Claudia is making a lovely lemon meringue pie. But yes, delicious. It was never one of my favourites, but I liked it. But Mum used to make lemon drizzle cake as well as lemon meringue pie. But well done, because it's not the easiest thing to make.
Not everyone likes the flavour of lemon. I love it, by the way. I love lemon meringue, lemon drizzle cake, and also lemon curd as well on bread. It's beautiful. It's quite sweet and a little bitter, but not very bitter. And are you okay, Steve?
Yes, I was just saying, Claude, Beatrice said that she did sign the paintings on the back. Unfortunately, that's what the back looks like.
Yes.
So they've covered that up. But I took a picture of that before they framed the photographs. So I'm going to print that off and put it on the back. So I do have a photograph of the dedication on the back that you've put. They said that they would have to cover that during the process of framing it, but I've got it, and I shall print it and put it on the back.
Yes, good. I'm glad we sorted that out. So it is there. We did see it, but unfortunately now the frame is covering it up. We have a lot of people on the live chat, by the way. Can I say hello, Christina? We also have... Let's go back slightly as my voice begins to disappear. Saturino is here as well. Of course, a lot of excitement in the air at the moment. One of the main reasons why I wanted to get well soon from my horrible cold is because coming up soon we have our big celebration for the anniversary of my YouTube channel being created. 11 days to go before we celebrate 18 I can't believe this, Steve, 18 years on YouTube. There are very few people, there are very few English teachers on YouTube who have been here for 18 years. Very, very few. So that is what we will be celebrating on the 31st of October. We will be celebrating 18 years on YouTube. I still can't believe it. I will be honest with you. There are things that I did on YouTube, videos and lessons that I made, that I've actually forgotten all about. Yeah. And it is strange when I look back at some of the older videos and I play them and I actually have no memory of making them. And that is a really weird feeling. It's almost as if you're watching some parallel universe with another Mr. Duncan doing things. It's a very strange feeling. So because I've made probably around 2,000 lessons and videos over 18 years, some of those moments of time, Steve, have vanished in my memory, and it's very weird when you watch something that you made yourself and you are in, but you don't remember doing it. It's really weird.
I was watching a show that I did about 14 years ago, and I couldn't remember doing it. I couldn't remember some of the I thought, how did I learn how to do that? I was doing like a dance, and I don't know how I learned how to do it because I couldn't do it now. Can I say hello? We've got somebody new on who's making themselves known.
Of course.
On the live chat. Lean Mashler. Hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Lean Mashler. Oh, Mashia, sorry. Oh, no, is it Mashler? Yes. From Syria. All the way from Syria. This is my first comment, but I'm an old fan. I enjoy your videos. You have a creative and fun personality. I'm at college watching you with my friends.
Oh, so it's not just you. It's
not
everyone.
Just you.
It's everyone. Everyone is there with you. So hello to everyone watching in Syria at the moment. It is nice to have your company.
Especially to Lean and her friends, or his friends, sorry. I don't know. I can't tell from your name whether you're male or female. But let's not go there.
Good, good, Steve. Good. That's it. Put the shovel down. You've done enough digging there.
By the way, what temperature is it here? Says Green for Plant. It's about 12 degrees. Actually, it's warmer than it's probably about 13 degrees outside.
Well, I can tell you, it is now 15 Celsius.
15.
We had rain. We had terrible wind during the night, and that wasn't even the weather. That was my stomach because of Mr. Steve's chili con carne. And we have a lot of rain as well. Lots of rain over the last few days. But now the sun has come out and everything is quite nice, to be honest. Everything is looking lovely.
Well, I need to tidy the garden up, so I shall be going into the garden if I feel well enough. Well, I need to. You need to get fit again after a cold. You need to. You can't sort of stay still in the house for too long. You've got to. Once the symptoms are starting to go, you've got to get your body back into fitness again.
You know what, Steve? The worst part of having a cold is when everything goes a little wet, if you get my meaning. And there is a certain thing you often get when you have a cold, and that is something called catarrh.
Qatar.
Now, not the country, not the Arabian country, but this is spelt differently, even though it is pronounced very similar to it. Qatar is a very unusual word because it actually has double R next to H, which is actually very unusual. Qatar. And this is a noun that means the inflammation. So when we say inflammation, we mean everything swells and becomes sensitive. So maybe inside your nose and in your throat, it will become very sensitive. Inflammation of a mucous membrane. Now there is a great word. Mucus. Isn't that great? Again, another strange word because it's spelt in a rather unusual way.
Yes.
You wouldn't think that there was an O in mucus, but there is. So the mucous membrane, it is normally a sensitive part of your body, normally up the nose or in the throat or down your throat. And those parts of your body are sensitive to changes in your condition. And catarrh is the inflammation of a mucous membrane, especially of the respiratory tract, which is what you breathe through. Your respiratory tract is where the air goes in and out of your body.
Well, in Beatrice is saying that, and so is Alessandra. So in Italian and in Spanish, it's very similar. Catarro. Catarro. Catarro.
Okay.
I presume is how you would have to pronounce Catarro.
Yes. You get it, Steve?
I'm trying to get it right, you see.
They all sound the same.
I do want to learn Italian.
So no, Steve, can we stay on the subject? We've got these things to cover. I don't want to stay on too long because if I get ill, then it will be very embarrassing. So normally, catarrh is accompanied by excessive secretions. Another great word, secrete, is when something emerges. Something comes out, normally liquid of some sort, a secretion. So, for example, your skin is always secreting something, sweat or oil. Certain types of things are always coming out of your skin. They are being secreted. But, of course, if it happens too much, then rather unpleasant things can happen, such as, well, there you go. I think that picture is pretty self-explanatory. So catarrh as a noun, especially affecting the nose and throat in the common cold. So that is what I've been suffering from over the past couple of days. Mr. Steve had it last week, and it is the worst part of having a cold, I always think. The after effect. And quite often this will come along after the main cold or the main fever has started to disappear. So that's what I've been suffering from.
In Saturino says that the word catarrh comes from the ancient Greek and means what flows out.
Yes, I was about to say that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes, to flow out, to a downward flow is catarrh. So when you think about this here, this picture, you can see that everything will flow downwards from your nose or maybe from your throat and it will come out of your mouth. So normally at the end of your cold, at the end of your fever, you will often produce the sticky green stuff.
Oh, I think we've had enough of that, Mr. Duncan.
It's horrible. It's the worst part, isn't it? It isn't very nice. Finally, as we just heard, Mr. Steve, from Old English, catarrh, but it derives from Greek, which means to flow down. So something that flows down or flows away. And I think that is a brilliant description of that feeling that you have. I don't think there's anything worse than having a cold, though, because you do feel as if you will never feel well again. And that is how I feel at the moment. So if you ever suffer from a cold, now you know what that is, that strange after effect that you get.
Faribault talks about sinusitis that they've been suffering with for a long time, particularly in winter time. Yes, that's an inflammation of your sinuses, all these spaces that we have mainly around this sort of area. In the spaces in the bones, things like that, where air and mucus is formed. And if you get an inflammation in this area, then yes, you'll produce lots of mucus, maybe catarrh. Yes, it's the catarrh is a symptom of inflammation. You produce all that because of inflamed passages and sinuses.
It's very similar to what I get in the summer with my hay fever. So it's exactly the same process. My body is reacting to the pollen in the air, and because of that, all of the mucus will be produced as a reaction.
Your tissues have been damaged by your mucous membranes, have been damaged by the virus, the cold virus, and in response to that, the body produces lots of mucus to try and protect it. But sometimes that can go on for too long. But that's just what we have to put up with as human beings.
You can have infections as well in your sinuses. So the sinus is a cavity. It's a very strange thing, isn't it? But
that's the sinusitis that Faribault is talking about.
They can become inflamed and infected and incredibly painful as well.
Yes.
I know people who've had that, and it really does feel as if the inside of your head is going to explode because of the pressure created by it. So not a very nice thing.
By the way, 15 degrees plants, green plants for treatment, 15 degrees is actually quite warm for this time of the year. We're approaching winter, and they're saying that the temperature is above average. Well, it is. Normally you would expect it to be around sort of maybe 10 degrees, 9 or 10 at this time of the year on average. So it's a lot higher than normal.
It was very nice yesterday because I decided to take a risk. I wanted to see how well I was feeling after my cold. So we went out yesterday, didn't we, for a walk, and I wasn't too bad. I felt okay, even though I was really tired afterwards. And I've been taking all sorts of things as well. Everyone says there are certain things that you should take, maybe paracetamol, maybe some sort of special drink with lemon or fruit and all sorts of things. So I have been trying to push the fever away, and I think I've almost succeeded. I'm just over halfway through now.
Thank you, Lean, for explaining that you are a girl, and also the meaning of your name has several meanings in Arabic: kindness, a baby palm tree, or a tulip.
Oh,
so welcome. We hope you're enjoying this live stream with your friends all the way in Syria. It's a long way for us. I bet it's very warm there, a lot warmer than here. Do you get the common cold in places? I often wonder, actually, do people suffer from the common cold in hot countries?
Well, I do remember when we used to go to Malaysia, that there would often be colds or fevers going around. So I think once you live in a place where the temperature is high, then those things might spread easier because it's warm and the viruses like that sort of environment. But I do remember having a cold once when I was in Malaysia, and it seemed to take ages to go away, and I don't know why. So I think maybe the humid weather or the hot climate, it seems to make the fever continue.
But the thing is, in the UK, people don't really get colds in the summer. We only really get them in the winter. It's very seasonal, like flu is seasonal. Flu typically in the northern hemisphere comes between sort of November and January.
Yes.
Is the common time for flu to attack. And it's the same for colds, really. For some reason, the virus doesn't like... I don't know why, but they haven't quite figured out why. Which is interesting. So if people do get colds and flu, which they do, of course, in hot countries... but I was just interested in Syria, Arabic countries. Do people get colds? Can you get this sort of sore throat, runny nose, last a few days? But certainly in most of sort of northern Europe, people do, particularly when the weather starts to get colder, which it is now.
I certainly think in temperate climates like here, where you have variations, where one thing goes and another thing comes along with the temperatures, that people can be quite unwell, especially this time of year. A lot of people do come down. That's a good expression, actually. You come down with something. If you come down with something, it means you are affected by it. So a particular illness, you come down with the flu, you come down with a cold, you come down with fever. So it means you have been affected by it. Something is affecting your health in a negative way.
Oh, there we go. Lean says that we do get the common cold here, mostly during autumn or spring when the weather starts to change. Oh, so that's the same as here.
That's quite interesting.
So right, yes. If it goes cold at night, so anybody watching us from a tropical country, maybe. What about? Yes. So what about Brazil? Brazil's a hot country, but then of course seasons. Or most countries have seasons, unless you live right on the equator, in which case it probably is hot all year round. So maybe, excuse me. Everybody gets the common cold, yes. Maybe.
I think depending on where you go in the world, there are variations. If there's one thing we found out during, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it because I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear that word ever again. But during that time, we realised how different parts of the world were affected in slightly different ways. And I certainly remember when I lived in China, people always had some sort of cold or fever. It constantly went around and around, because where I lived, the weather was quite fierce, very cold winters, very windy and chilly springs, and then the summer would suddenly become very dry and hot. So your body could never adjust to the weather, and because of that, people were always falling sick, including me, by the way. I did have quite a few fevers and colds during my time in China, I can say.
Can I mention Yolanda?
Yes.
Who is saying, how are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Been following you for 12 years. Amazing to hear you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Yes, thank you for that comment. We like to see people making comments, particularly if they don't normally make many comments, or if they haven't made comments on the live chat before. Please feel free. Come out of the woodwork.
Yes.
Don't be if you say come out of the woodwork, it means that you reveal yourself, you make yourself known. We know you're there watching, and so make a comment, say something, even if it's just hello. say something. It's nice to have people making comments and integrating into this English community.
Definitely.
That Mr. Duncan has created. Mark from Taiwan.
Oh.
Hello there. What we know about Taiwan is, of course, you've got the largest chip manufacturing plant anywhere in the world.
Yes.
So we know you're famous for that. Oh, well, I was going to say, by the way, Beatrice, Buenos Aires has been in the news, hasn't it?
Okay, Steve.
It was in the news a couple of days ago.
Why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing.
Oh, okay.
Because of the death of a pop star from England. And it was being broadcast live. On every news channel was broadcasting the events of a certain, can't remember his name, from One Direction,
Oh, dear.
who tragically fell. We don't know the circumstances, but yes, Buenos Aires was on the news. We expected to see you walking by, Beatrice, at any moment. We were watching the screen. Seeing if you were going to walk by and wave to us.
Steve, I have to stop you there. I should fill in all of the details that you missed out. His name, Liam Payne,
yes,
from One Direction. Did you know, though, that he used to live very close to where we lived, in Wolverhampton? We used to go past his family house. When the place he was actually raised in or at.
Yes.
So he lived very close to us in Wolverhampton before he became a big pop star with One Direction. But a very unusual, very strange event that took place. And I suppose you might say it is sometimes the price a person has to pay for fame and fortune. Not everyone can handle the pressure, even though we don't know what happened. But I do think that sometimes, especially if you're young, Steve, if you are very young and you become famous,
yes,
and then later that fame starts to fade away, it can have a very negative effect on the person, because you become so accustomed to being loved,
yes,
by all of your fans, and then as that disappears, as that slowly fades away, it can affect you personally. So a very sad situation and quite shocking as well. But yes, you're right, Steve, it was outside a hotel in Buenos Aires. It was interesting watching all of the news reporters mispronouncing Buenos Aires. They were saying some really strange things when they were trying to pronounce it. So that was the only thing that made me smile. The rest of it was rather tragic.
But yes, I can't. It was you literally. They were following the events live.
Yes.
For many hours on every news channel, which I mean, it's obviously very tragic.
Well, it's an English. It's one of the biggest pop singers or pop groups ever since the Beatles. So we have to put it into context to say that it was a big story for us, because it was like one of the Beatles dying, and I remember when that happened. It was a very similar thing. The news covered the story, especially when John Lennon was shot in 1980, just before Christmas. And that was a huge story, and it was constantly being talked about as this tragedy that occurred last week was. So anyway, live chat, very busy, Mr. Steve. Live chat is here. Marcia says, we believe that we are a family here who is addicted to English. I think you are right. I think, yes, that is a very good observation. By the way, Steve, we do have a subject, in case you're wondering what is going on. We will have a subject. We are talking about the future and the past today. So words, ways of expressing it. We can talk about things that might happen in the future, things that have happened in the past, like I was a few moments ago, talking about when John Lennon was shot. It was a huge event that happened in the past, and now we have something equally tragic happening in the present. But of course, we often talk about the future as well. In fact, I would say that we spend a lot of time these days talking about what might happen next, what might happen in the future, because technology is starting to move forward again. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Steve. I'm talking about going off into space. Maybe over the next few years, man will journey, or woman, by the way, or woman, will journey across the stars and maybe even land on Mars. Imagine that.
That rhymed, by the way. Did you realise you were rhyming then?
I had a David Bowie moment then.
By the way, can I just say, CS Pro, whose real name is Moisa Al Said, if I've pronounced that correctly, is Lean's friend. This is my first live stream. I learnt about your channel from her. I enjoy binge watching your videos. Congratulations for 18 years. So we mentioned Lean on earlier, and now watching with her friends, and one of her friends is just made themselves known to us. So thank you. And of course, everyone is saying hello as they do on the lovely community that is on the live chat here for Mr. Duncan's channel. Welcoming everybody on here. Green Plants is going, so we'll see you later. But yeah, lovely. Thanks for making yourself known and for making a comment.
Well, it is. See, you have brought something to the surface today, Steve, that can be quite embarrassing. Sometimes you see a name and you might not be sure if that name is male or female, because to us it is neutral. It doesn't seem to have any particular gender. So I would say that sometimes it is worth asking or mentioning whether you are male or female, so we don't become embarrassed by our mistake. But it is possible to do that. Whereas when we think about names, Steve, when you say Steve, you think male. When you hear Duncan, male. When you hear Nikki, now there's an interesting one. Nikki, N-I-C-K-Y, or K-Y, as it were. I just realised what I said then. Could be either. So you can have certain names that can be either male or female. So it is interesting, isn't it, Steve? That Stevie, for example, Stevie can be a female name or a male name, because there was the famous female singer in Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks.
Well, that's it. If whichever country you live in, you will just know which names are female and which are male names. You will know that. But for us looking, particularly for in countries where we're not familiar with the language, outside Europe, then it would be more difficult for us to know whether we're looking at a name that is a typically male or female name. So yes, we can get a lot of names on here, but not necessarily all of them. And CS Pro is male, so that's good to know. You can sort of tell somehow. I mean, Lean seemed to me, it seemed like a female name. I didn't want to say at the time, but it just seemed like it was. Whereas Moisa sounds like a male name to me. I don't know why, but it just does. But I probably haven't pronounced them correctly, so I do apologise when I'm trying to pronounce people's names and I do it incorrectly.
Yeah, this is all part of the learning process. We are here to help you, but maybe sometimes you are there helping us as well.
Yes, Claudio points out that in Italy, and Andrea is spelt like Andrea, is a male name, whereas Andrea, we would pronounce that Andrea, is a female name in the UK, whereas in Italy it'll be Andrea, I presume it'll be pronounced something like that, is a male name.
It is a big subject.
It's a big subject.
A very big subject. And sometimes I always say things as they are. If you're not sure, ask. So that's why sometimes on the live chat I will ask, are you male or female? Because I want to get it right. You see, that's it. That's nothing else, nothing political. It is just because I want to get it right, you see. We are coming up to 10 minutes away from 3 o'clock. We've been on for 47 minutes. And because both of us are not very well at the moment, I still think it's amazing, Steve, that we've managed to make it this far.
Well, we're staying on, so don't go away.
Yes, we're not going anywhere. I'm going to have a quick break, by the way. We'll have a quick break so I can drink some water. And then we will be back with more of this. We are looking at words and phrases, talking about and looking at the future and the past. And of course, you are very welcome to get involved on the live chat as well. This is English Addict, live from England.
a big boy now.
English Addict is with you on a Sunday afternoon. We are back together. It is not just me, it's also Mr. Steve. We are here with you today, with a smile upon our face, trying to bring a smile to you as well. Did you like that song? It's now available on MP3. Mr. Duncan and Mr. Steve, that is who we are. I am an English addict, and I have a feeling maybe you might be an English addict as well. Mr. Steve is with us. You've been with us since the start of today's live stream because we're both a little bit under the weather. But we are still here with you. I have to say, Steve, can I just say we've done very well today.
Well, that's not for us to say.
I mean, health-wise.
Well, anyway, yeah, fine. Yeah, let's just carry on, shall we, Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Drawing attention to it all the time.
Well, that's fine. You can do that. That's all right. That's not a problem. I need all the sympathy I can get. Hey, guess what, Steve? We are looking at a very interesting subject. That is something that a lot of people like to talk about. We like to talk about things that happened in the past. We also like to talk about things that are happening now in the news. But we also like to talk about things that may happen in the future as well. So that is what we are talking about today. We are going to look at words and phrases connected to future and past. Things that can express what has happened and what might or will happen in the future. Are you ready, Mr. Steve?
I'm ready.
See, now I think this is a good subject for Mr. Steve because Steve always thinks about the future. Sometimes too much, but we might discuss that a little bit later on. Here we go,
think
Steve.
about the future and worry about the past. Anyway, carry on.
So here we go. The future is always forward. Always. You can never describe the future in any other way. It's always forward. We often think of time as a line, a straight line. So you are always going in the same direction, from the past to the future. And that is how you always see that particular type of tense. And of course we have the past, which is looking backward. So we often look back over time. We try to look forward into the future. So those are the most basic ways of expressing that. You might look forward to the future. So there might be something in the future that you're looking forward to, Steve.
Yes, exactly. You might be looking forward to your 18-year anniversary.
Yes.
You might be looking forward to your birthday. You might be looking forward to Mr. Duncan's next live stream after this one. You could be looking forward to going to work tomorrow morning, Monday morning. Maybe not, but some people might be.
I suppose it depends what your job is. I always look forward to my next live stream. I get so excited because this is fun to do. You might also look toward something, or of course we can state that as look towards something. So maybe in that sense it is very, very different. Wait there. I knew this would happen eventually. My throat would suddenly stop working. So when we look toward something, when we are talking about something that might happen in the future, maybe it is something that will happen or may happen. So look forward to something normally refers to something that is going to happen. You know it's going to happen. You look forward to your birthday. You look forward to Christmas. You look forward to your anniversary on YouTube. But if you look towards something in that same sense, you are actually maybe trying to guess what will happen, or maybe something that may or may not happen. So technology, Steve, we often think of technology. We look towards the future with technology. We try to guess what will happen next.
I look toward the future with optimism, you might say.
Yes.
You're looking toward the future, hopeful that things will work out for the best. Yeah.
You look into the future, so you can see at the top we have the future going that way and the past going the other way, the opposite way, that way. So you look into the future, you look over the past. So it's a little bit like going to the scene of an accident where you look at all of the debris and the bits and the pieces. The past is a little bit like that, where you often have to go back and have a close look at certain things. So examining the past normally means you have to look over those moments or those situations. You might have to examine something from the past very closely. But we often describe the future as something you look into. You look into the past. It's a bit like trying to foresee the future, isn't it, Steve? If you ever go to the fairground, you will often see normally a woman in a little tent, and she will read the crystal ball. She will predict. She will look into the future.
Yes, look into the future.
Is it real?
The future?
No, people who say they can see the future.
Well, I don't know. Maybe if you believe it, it's true.
Oh.
I don't know. I think, yes, with a big crystal ball. Yes, some people believe in that, but yes, you can look into the future. You can use that phrase if something's happened, an event has occurred, and you want to examine it in more detail. You could say, let us look into that and examine it in more detail. There are various ways you can use those two phrases.
Here we go. Here's another one, Steve. This is something Steve does a lot when he's thinking of the future. You might plan the future. We can also say you plan for the future. So this is something that I think Steve does very well. Maybe I don't do it very well, but Steve does it very well. So you plan the future, you make plans for the future, or of course, if you are looking back, quite often you will study the past because you can't change it. You can't really plan the past because it's happened, but you can still look at the past. You can study the past. You can look at what happened in the past.
A historian would be somebody that studies past events.
Can I admit to something here? I'm going to put my hand up now and admit I always found history boring at school. I don't know why. I always found it quite pointless. And I know that's the wrong way to look at it. I know that is a bad attitude. It is not a good attitude to have. So at school, I always found history quite boring and dull because you're talking about things that have happened already. And sometimes you would go back 100 years or 200 years and talk about what happened, and I could never see the relevance. However, as you get older, you suddenly realise that everything is the past. Everything. You and I, Mr. Steve, we are all the past. We are, because we've already lived. We've had a life already. So there are moments that we've experienced. So history suddenly does become interesting because it's a great way of learning.
Well, they do say that one of the problems of humanity is that we don't learn from history. We don't learn from problems in the past because we've typically got a very short memory. And so events that might have led to disaster 50 years ago or 100 years ago are often forgotten. And we are probably doomed to keep on repeating the same mistakes over and over again.
Yes.
Because we don't have a very short attention span, really. We don't have a very good memory for things that happened in the past. Quite often you want to learn. The whole point of looking back is to try and learn from your mistakes.
Yes.
So that you don't make the same mistake again.
Yes.
But quite often we do repeat. I often think actually that, and I've read this, it's a kind of philosophical outlook on life that it's a bit off subject, but I could mention it maybe, that the whole point of challenges in your life and problems that come along is that these are there put to you for you to learn and move on. They're lessons that you need to learn. And somebody once, or I read in a book once, that a problem won't be put in your way unless you have the ability to solve it. It's a bit, we're sort of almost talking on a different level here. but yes, and if you don't learn from these lessons that come along, you're doomed to carry on repeating them until you get it right. And in fact, I have found this in life, that if I keep doing something and get a bad outcome from it, if I don't learn and move on from it, I'll just keep on repeating that same mistake over and over again.
Of course, it was Albert Einstein who summed that up quite cleverly by saying that a person who repeats things, the same things, and expects different results every time is insane. He said that is literally the definition of insanity. Trying the same thing again and again and expecting different results is literally insanity.
And if you want to grow as a person, I think when these life lessons come along, then I'm being asked to speak more slowly, then you're doomed to repeat. You'll be stuck in a cycle.
Yes.
Where you might be very unhappy because you're not learning from these lessons that come along that try and teach us how to grow as a person.
Yeah, humanity often makes the same mistakes again and again.
Bye, Palmyra. We'll see you later.
Okay. Okay, Steve. See you later, Palmyra. Bye. See you again soon on the live chat, Palmyra. What was I talking about?
Learning from lessons from mistakes.
Yes, lessons from mistakes. Humanity is not very good at learning from their mistakes. Moving on. I'm completely thrown now, by the way. Plan ahead. You plan ahead. As I said before, you plan ahead. Maybe something you are about to do. Maybe something you are going to do. Maybe you are going to visit somewhere. You are going to travel to another place. You have to plan ahead. You have to make plans for that particular thing. Or, of course, you can plan ahead generally in your life for the future. Maybe if you are young and you are working, you might have to save money for your future. And quite often, and I have to say this, Steve, again, I have to put my hand up and confess, quite often in my younger years, I didn't consider planning ahead for anything. I always lived as the day came along, which may seem like a wonderful, free-spirited thing to do. However, it can also be a damaging thing. as well. But Steve is very good at that. He's very good at planning ahead.
Yes, we all know people, don't we? Some people are very good at living in the present moment. And I'm very bad at that. But I like to be with people who, and in fact I gravitate towards, there's a good phrase, if you gravitate towards something, it means you're attracted to it. Like gravity is attracting you to the ground.
It is pulling you.
It's pulling you, there's a pull. I always like to be around people who are living in the moment, in the present moment, who know how to live in the present moment and experience everything that's going on right now, because that's really all we have, is the here and now. The past is gone. You can't live in that, although some people do. And if you live too much in the future, you're never really living in the present and not really enjoying the present moment.
Yes.
And I don't like that. I don't like when we go out for a walk. I'm either thinking about something that happened in the past or something I've got to plan for in the future when I come back, which means that you're not really enjoying the present moment.
I always see time as a vehicle. It's a bit like the present. The present is like sitting in a car, driving along. So you're moving all the time, but you never get out of that car. You're always on that journey. So the present is literally where you are at that moment, sitting in the car. You are going forwards. You can see the road ahead, and of course you can look back and see the road disappearing into the distance. But there are many people who don't like, or maybe they avoid living in the moment because they just don't like what they see. So there are many ways of looking at that. Of course, we can learn from the past. We can learn from what has happened. I suppose we covered that already quite well. You might try to predict the future. And this is something that people have done for years. I remember growing up, Steve. I know I've said this before. I remember growing up being told how wonderful the future is going to be, how wonderful the world will be. There will be no war, no famine. Everyone will be happy, and technology will take care of all our needs. Guess what? None of that actually happened. So growing up, I do remember all of these wonderful, wonderful things that were predicted for the future that never came true. And even now we do it, don't we, Steve?
Well, yes. How far can you plan into the future? The further you plan into the future, the more unpredictable events become, and the harder it is to be accurate with any predictions, because you can only predict what's going to happen in the future based on all known information that you have at that time.
Yes.
So, okay, you might be able to, for example, plan what's going to happen. You might be able to predict pretty much how next week's going to be, because you will know what you're doing on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You will probably know.
You could refer to that as short term.
Yes, short term. It's easy to pretty much predict what's going to happen next week in your life. 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, a month out, 6 months, a year ahead, it becomes very difficult because there are so many things that might happen unpredictable things that you won't have seen coming along, that it'll become more and more difficult to plan for the future. So I mean, planning finances is important, but it becomes more difficult to say what you want to do in 5 years. They say actually 5 years is about the maximum time you can really plan for something to happen in your life, because after that it becomes so unpredictable.
Yes, it's strange, isn't it? Because 5 years, I always think this as well, 5 years always seems to be something you can plan and almost you can almost see it. you can almost see that period of time, because it is a short period of time. Although, as we've found out recently, certainly over the past 5 or 6 years, there are many variables in life.
Yes.
Things you can't plan for.
And CS Pro has mentioned that in computer science. It says that in computer science, it's difficult to plan projects too far in advance, and you have to remain agile. That's a good phrase that they use a lot in business now.
Yes.
And of course, to use a well-worn phrase, in the modern world, you have to be agile. You have to be ready to change course if something comes along that wasn't in your original model or your plan for what you wanted to do. And you have to be willing to change and adapt and be agile, because if you don't change to a new event that comes along, then your plan for whatever you want to achieve won't happen. And Lewis says that it's very difficult to plan in the long term.
Yes.
But that's it. You can make a plan. I mean, we all have to make plans. For example, if you want to buy a house, you have to plan that you are going to be able to repay your mortgage for 25 years, because that's the average term of a mortgage. So you pretty much know you've got to stay in work, but you don't know necessarily how you're going to pay that mortgage for 25 years. You might think, well, the job I'm in at the moment, I know that's fairly secure, probably for the next 6 months to a year.
Yes.
But after that, how sure are you of keeping your job?
I think can I just say that is a brilliant example. I would say, of all of the decisions that anyone has to make in their life, certainly when it's something that you are connected to or stuck with for a very long period of time, borrowing large amounts of money. And you mentioned business as well, Steve, which I think is brilliant. That's a way of looking at it. Business. These days, I have to say, I feel sorry for anyone who is trying to run a big business, because things change so quickly. The tastes and the desires of society can alter very fast. And we've seen this, haven't we, in this country with certain shops, with certain big chains of shops where they haven't changed quick enough, and they've been left behind, and sometimes they can lose money or even go out of business. So it does happen. So I think you're right, Steve. Borrowing money for some sort of, well, a large loan, for example, for a house, a mortgage, it's a huge one, and you have to plan ahead then for the next 25 years. But as you said, Steve, you can't do it. It's impossible to plan ahead for 25 years. It
is in terms of a job. All you know is you've got to find another job if you want to keep your house. Because 25 years is a long time to commit yourself to something like that. It's the same with borrowing money for a car. But as you say, planning ahead in business, most businesses will have a 5-year plan. But as has been pointed out by CS Pro, you have to remain agile. You have to monitor that plan, and you have to be able to adapt if you want to stay on course. Because you might say, I want this business to be worth X, £1 million in 5 years' time.
Yes.
Well, based on everything you know now, if you do everything in your plan, you might achieve that. But then something comes along that means you have to relook at your plans and adapt because there might be a setback.
Yeah.
Or it might go better than you expected, and then you have to maybe go for 2 million instead.
Yeah.
Because
but that's a good word. Again, another good word you just used there is adapt. You have to adapt to the future. Quite often things will come along that you're not ready for. And this is probably the reason why many people nowadays have more than one plan. You often hear people say, well, this is plan A and this is plan B, and we also have plan C and maybe even plan D as well. So you might have more than one plan in place just in case something goes wrong. Here we go. Some more words, Steve. We'll move on with this. Foresee. Now, I do like this word, by the way. And again, a very interesting word, to foresee. So you are literally saying to look ahead. For, front, see is to actually have vision or sight. So you are literally saying that you are looking ahead to foresee the future. And again, as we just said, it's very hard to guess what will happen in the future. Nobody really knows. And I don't want to mention it too many times, but we did have a rather dramatic situation take place in 2020. No one could see that coming. No one saw it.
No one foresaw. No one could foresee that event. Things always come along.
Yeah.
In the stock market's a good example of that. Somebody that I follow quite a lot, because I am quite interested in that. The stock market pre-prices all known information. So whatever people are talking about now that people worry will make the stock market crash or whatever, if it's something everybody knows about, you don't have to worry about it. It's already priced in.
Anyway, Steve.
It's the things that people don't know about.
Yes.
That if you're very clever and you can see something that other people don't know, you can take advantage of that. And it's this in all businesses. It's the same thing.
Yes. But my point about 2020 was something happened that no one had planned for at all, and many parts of the world did struggle because they were not prepared for that particular situation. We all know what it was, by the way. I'm not even going to mention it. Of course, you can also review what happened. So maybe you can look back many years, or maybe you can review something that recently happened. For example, often after my live stream has finished, I will often review this. I will have a look at it. I will have a look at what happened, what was said. I will watch the live chat closely so I can see what was happening during the live chat. So I will watch it again.
Review it.
Yes. To review is normally to look at something that is already happened. You are looking at it again, which is what it means. Re is again. Review. You again look. You look at it again. You review that particular thing.
Faribort says, here's an interesting one. A new realm in your discussion. Do you believe in free will or determination? Determinism. I think what you're saying there is do you think everything is pre-planned in advance? Is it fate, or do we actually have free will? Well, that's an interesting discussion.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say there, free will is always free will, not Free Willy.
That's a film.
That's a film with a big dolphin, or was it a whale? But to have free will is, from my point of view, now we're not bringing in any other subjects. Free will is just how you see yourself, how you see the world around you, and then how you want to integrate into that paradigm. It's as simple as that. So my point of view, Steve, fate, of course, will always come your way. There is always fate waiting for us. Something bad might happen tomorrow. Something good might happen the day after. So that is all there anyway, but it's not in place. So it isn't happening because it's pre-planned. It's happening because as you take your journey, you will travel through many different types of locations. It's a little bit like driving the car. You are in the present in your car, but you don't know what is around the corner as you drive around. So from my point of view, free will is just knowing your place within all of this. Well, that's it.
Some people say that free will is an illusion. Everything is predetermined, like a computer program.
Yes,
and
but
free will is like an illusion.
Yes.
And that we can't actually change it. We think we're changing things, but it's already pre-programmed. But that's a very that's a subject maybe that for another day.
Yes. I mean, technically, we're not talking about that anyway. I
We're
was
not.
just asked.
But it's,
we were asked about free will, but also I think you can shape your future. So I think that is possible. That is definitely possible. You can change.
You certainly have to believe that you can.
Yes.
Because if you don't, then you would just give up and do nothing.
Yes.
So you have to believe that you do have free will.
Yes.
Otherwise, you would just sit back. You might as well just sit back and watch television.
Yes, but that's my point. The point I just said. Knowing your place in all of this is how you determine what you will do, because those two things go together. You can't just think that everything is pre-planned, because then you will do nothing.
But there is this, isn't there?
Yes.
There are these two beliefs.
Yes. To predict is to look forward. You can analyse the past. Again, very similar. So when you think about the past, you can only ever look at the past. You can't change the past. You can't alter the past. All you can ever do is look at the past and hopefully learn something from it. So we do often analyse things that have happened in distant times, long ago, or recently, in very recent times as well. You can forecast, can't you, Steve? There are many things we can forecast. You can forecast the weather. I have to say these days, the weather forecast is always quite accurate. Now, I remember years ago, Steve, they would often get the weather forecast wrong. But these days, I think it's quite accurate, quite precise.
They've got these computer models, haven't they? And they're looking at where there are areas of like lows or depressions and where they're going to move to. But they still cannot predict more than, certainly for the UK, because we do have an unpredictable climate in the UK, particularly. They cannot really predict beyond about 5 or 7 days.
No, well, again, but there is a map that they have now. You can actually go online and look at 28 days or longer ahead with the weather, with all of the weather patterns. However, they often will change. I'm actually agreeing with you, Steve. They will often change as time goes by. So you're right, Steve. It is. I think realistically, you can only plan for maybe 5 or 6 days, because we've noticed when the weather forecast is being read or told to us, a couple of days later there will be some variations. So it does show that it's often changing.
Yes, even 5 days ahead, it's usually not particularly accurate, because if you're looking at, say, a depression, a low, where it's going to move, where that rain is going to move to, they can predict to a point. But if it just veers off by even like 0.5% of where they think it's going to go, it could just miss us altogether.
Yeah,
There only has to be the accuracy has to be just off by just a minute percentage for it to completely change the weather.
Christina. Hello, Christina. Christina mentioned something very interesting. I think it was way back in, I want to say 1987, when we had that big storm. Michael Fish, a very famous weather forecaster, was asked the night before whether there was going to be a hurricane in the UK, and he said no, don't worry, there isn't. Can you guess what happened? About 20 hours later, there was a giant hurricane that swooped across the UK and caused all sorts of damage.
I hope you're feeling better, by the way, Christina. But yeah, yes, sorry, Mr. Duncan.
That's okay.
Yes, Maurizio's here. had some relatives for dinner. So it's nice that you've come on, even though you've had relatives for dinner. Have you left them? Have you left them to come and watch us, or have they gone?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was quite famous. A famous moment when Michael Fish failed to predict that a hurricane was going to strike the UK, and it's the worst one I think we've ever had.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had even. That was when was that, Mr. Duncan?
I think it was, I want to say 1987, because I know we did have one in the late 1970s as well. There was a big gale that caused a lot of destruction across the UK, but I think this particular one was in 1987. I'm sure if I'm wrong, someone will tell me. Now, you can model something. You mentioned this word, Steve. You can model from the past. So you take information that you have already and you use that information to create a model. So you use that to work out what will happen next. That's one of the reasons why the weather forecast these days is quite predictable and quite accurate, because they use all the information that's been gathered over the many, many years, and they try to guess roughly what will happen next from the past. So they build a model. They build something that shows what might happen next. Of course, these days we often use computers.
They put in all known information. They're trying to do that with climate change, aren't they?
Yes.
There's a model of climate change. They try to put in all known information, put it in the computer, and the computer comes out with a result. If they've missed out any crucial information, though, there's no way of knowing how accurate that's going to be. Christina says that she learned about Michael Fish when she was studying. So maybe he's being used as an example of what not to do, or how you get weather forecasting incorrect.
Yeah.
That's quite strange.
I suppose also, to be fair, it was 1987 and the technology was quite different. Here we go. A couple of more phrases, Steve, because we are going to be disappearing in a moment. Take a look ahead. You take a look ahead, or you take a look back. So perhaps you are remembering something from your past. I had a lovely moment the other day when I found a photograph on a Facebook group that I follow. And there was a photograph from my old primary school with some of the teachers posing for a photograph. And I was able once again to see some of the lovely teachers who used to teach me when I was at primary school. And I have to say, it was a wonderful moment, and it did allow me to take a look back, or to remember the past. And it was very strange, and I haven't seen those teachers since I was at school, all those many years ago. And it was lovely seeing them again for quite an emotional moment. You might, of course, take a look ahead. You take a look ahead at what is happening tonight. You take a look ahead at what's happening tomorrow.
Yes, if you're going on a conference somewhere, there might be lots of events taking place at different times, and somebody might say, let's look ahead at what is coming over the course of this conference, and then they will go through what's happening at this time and this time, etc.
Can I just say hello to Pedro Belmont? Hello,
I forgot Pedro gets a special effect as well as Lewis.
Always. That's always been the case.
I know.
Yes. So you can take a look ahead or take a look back, and you can take a trip to the future, but not physically. But you can, I suppose, take a trip to the future to imagine what the future will be like. There is a great movie that was made, I want to say, in the early 1920s called what is it called now? Things things ahead or something like that.
Things to come.
Things to come. Well done, Mr. Steve. Things to come.
That's a miracle.
A great science fiction film made in the 1920s, and it's trying to show what the world would be like in the future. It doesn't get it very accurate, unfortunately. It's not very precise. Of course, you can go back in time once again. We can't go there physically. You can't travel in time, either forwards nor backwards. So we are stuck here in the present, unfortunately.
So you're using those phrases figuratively then?
Yes.
Yes.
So you can try to guess. You can try to predict. You could take a trip to the future to imagine what life will be like in the future if we ever get there. Or you can go back in time and have a look at what happened in the past.
Let's go back in time and see what happened last Christmas. Somebody might say. And you'll look at photographs and talk about stories and things that happened at that time.
You can plan ahead for something, or you can figure from what has occurred. So when we talk about figuring, we are trying to work out what happened. So we are using that almost as a verb to say we want to work out, we figure from what has occurred. You can learn lessons from the past, things that happened before.
Let's plan ahead for our holiday. Let's plan ahead for our annual get-together for English Addict next year, which is what we are doing at the moment, by the way.
We haven't forgotten about that.
We haven't forgotten about it.
We are hoping to give you some details over the next couple of weeks, but we are making a few plans for next year. Mr. Steve is making some big plans for next year as well. So there is a lot going on behind the scenes that you can't see, unfortunately. Finally, to see the future. You can see the future, I suppose. You can see how things may or might turn out in the future. Or, of course, you can heed warnings from the past. I like that, by the way, that word, heed. Heed. You can learn from warnings, take notice and learn from those mistakes that we've made in the past.
Heed warnings, yes, that just means that, learn by things that happened in the past.
Mr. Steve, you might notice now there is a blank screen in front of you. That is because we have come to the end of today's live stream. I can
Mark is going to sleep in Taiwan. It's 10:30 there. It's 4:30 in France. So I presume it's also 4:30 in Italy as well, because I think they've got similar time zones there. So yes, have a good sleep, says Maurizio, and we wish you all well. Let's just show you the lovely pictures that Beatrice sent us again, which are lovely scenes, no doubt, in somewhere in Argentina, of somebody riding a horse. My sister would like these because she used to ride horses when she was younger. So there's a lovely horse in a field. We don't know its name. Do you know its name, Beatrice? Maybe you can tell us.
It's probably Ned.
It's probably Dobby.
Dobbin.
Dobby is a nice.
Dobbin.
It's a nice name that people tend to give to their horses here in the UK.
Yes. Dobbin.
Dobbin. Oh, Dobbin, right.
Yes, not Dobby. Or Ned, of course. Ned. A very popular name for a horse. Anyway, on that very strange note, we will end today's live stream. I have been suffering slightly today. I'm very sorry about my poorly throat. That is the main reason why we are finishing early. We've had Mr. Steve with us for 1.5 hours.
More than that.
Isn't that amazing? Today we've been together from the very start of the live stream. Talking of which, you can listen to this or watch it again. Later on, there will be captions later. You can watch with live captions, and YouTube will process that.
Yes, Faribort, we have said that I've liked this lesson, very philosophical. Yes, we do tend to get a bit philosophical in our lessons. By the way, do I pronounce your name correctly? Fariborts. Is that correct? I say that every week. You've not corrected me, so I'm hoping it is correct. But I want to learn, you see, from my mistakes. So if that is in fact not correct, please phonetically write your name, so that I can pronounce it correctly in the future.
Talking of which, we will see you in the future. Hopefully next Sunday we will both be back to normal and 100% well. I will be with you on Wednesday, by the way. Wednesday, live stream as we head towards the anniversary that is coming up. I have to say I am really, really excited because we have the anniversary of my YouTube channel being created on the 31st of October. It will be 18 years since I started doing this on YouTube. Can you believe it?
Have you learnt anything, Mr. Duncan?
Have I learnt
anything? In those
anything?
18 years, have you learnt from any mistakes in the past?
All I can say, Steve, I'm still learning. You never stop learning. That is my advice for anyone in life. Never assume that you know everything. There is always something new to learn. And to be honest with you, that's what makes life exciting and vibrant, because there is always something new to discover, a new thing. So during my time here on YouTube, I've learnt a lot, but I know I still have things to learn as well.
Faribors. So is the RZ, do I put it, I've been saying Fariborts. So I've been putting a T apostrophe S
Okay.
on the Z. So maybe it's just Faribors. Faribors. Is that better? Is it Fariborts or Faribors?
Okay, Steve.
I just want to know.
Obviously, do you want to just carry on the live stream? I'll go in, have a cup of tea.
Okay, I'll go and put the kettle on. We've got some cake that I made yesterday.
Okay.
And it's been lovely being here with you all today. In fact, I feel better now than I did at the beginning of the live stream because I haven't been able to sit thinking, oh, I don't feel very well, oh, I don't think very well, because I'm having to, this is the great thing about the live stream, I have to exist in the present moment when I'm doing this. I cannot think about problems in the past, problems in the future, and that's what I like about the live stream. I'm here, I'm in the moment.
Yes.
And I'll soon be in another moment, putting the kettle on, making Mr. Duncan a cup of tea. So lovely to be here. Hope you all have a lovely week and see you again next week.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. There was Mr. Steve. He's leaving the studio now. It took him nearly 3 minutes there to say goodbye. I'm back with you on Wednesday. It's just me on Wednesday on my own. I will be back with you on Wednesday. I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. Even though we are both under the weather, I hope we will be on top of the world and in the pink next Sunday. I will see you soon, and I hope you will have a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever you are doing. Keep that smile upon your face as you walk amongst the human race, and I will see you very soon. And of course, this is Mr. Duncan in the birthplace of English, saying thanks for watching, see you soon, and I'm going to have a lie down on the bed right now. Ta-ta for now. See you on Wednesday, I hope.